So last week, I went viral on LinkedIn by literally just reposting my YouTube video on there and got 12 inbound conversations going, 4 qualified booked calls, each with 8 to 15K in contract value. On the surface, this just looks like a regular tutorial video, but the thing that got my buyers to book in the call with me was actually the messaging. In other words, how I wrote the script to not only go viral, but also convince them that I was the person who can help them with their problem. So in this video, I'm going to deconstruct how I wrote that script and give you the scripting framework that we use for our clients who've gotten similar results or more. If you don't know who I am, my name is Derek Wynn. I own outlierfounder.com. So far this year, we've made $1.8 million for our clients. And a big part of that is systemizing how we construct scripts so that we can always speak to our ideal clients. And so without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing I want to go over is there's a big misconception when it comes to scripting YouTube videos. People think that they need to nail the hook, do all these fancy attention grabbing fluff in the first 30 seconds, but that could not be further from the truth, and it's just completely BS. You spend hours and hours doing the guesswork, but you never really understand what turns a viewer into an actual buyer. The real formula here is just like any other marketing channel, especially for cold traffic funnels, is that you need to have messaging that fits your current market, which means you have to write in the exact language that your buyers speak on a daily basis, because nobody else can convince them to take action besides their own voice reflected back at them. And without this, you're just another generic tutorial business owner who posts online, and you're not positioning yourself as an authority who understands your viewers' specific pain. And so when you set up the foundations correctly, which is the language that you use and the problems that you need to solve for your clients, that's when you have a winning scripting formula. So before we pull out our Google Doc, I want you to extract 10 to 15 of your best sales calls from the leads that took action the fastest and paid the most. What you want to do is put all these transcripts into Claude and tell Claude to extract all the pains and desires in their exact language so that you can have an understanding of how the scripts should be written in. Over here is what I call my avatar master doc that I use at my agency, outlierfounder.com. What it essentially is a list full of pains and desires, and you just fill all this information in using your exact buyer language that you extracted from Claude. If you want this doc, I put this in the link in the description. Check it out, download it, and then go back to this video and follow along with me. Now, once you got the doc filled out, just upload it onto Claude, and then we can finally start scripting our first video. Now, let's get into actually how to construct the script. So at my agency, I like to split this into 4 different parts for the script. I call the hook, pain, body, and CTA. A lot of people, when they write their scripts, they would split into 3 categories, which is the hook, body, and outro. But the reason why I put pain in here is because we found that the attention span of business owners is extremely more expensive compared to your average viewer. In the first 30 seconds of the video, business owners constantly think if this video is worth their time or not. And one of the ways that we found to best retain their attention is to speak about their pain so specifically, so deeply, that they would think that this video was specifically made for them. This concept has been applied to every other marketing channel like cold email, where you have to write the relevant offer and the pain section first. Just like in the ad space where you call out your ICP and say something like, if you're an agency owner and you feel this way, and this way, this ad is for you. It's basically the same principle that we also use for our YouTube videos. And not only does this attract more of the leads that we want watching our videos, it also disqualifies the people that we don't want watching our videos, such as teenagers, kids, or freelancers, because these people typically can't relate to the pain that we're talking about. And so now that we understand the secret and the reason why, how some videos convert viewers into buyers, now let's get into the actual scripting of each part. So to start off, the hook. So a lot of founders start their videos with something like, hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and their outro ends with something like, hope you guys like this video, thank you so much for watching, like or subscribe, I love you guys, and so on and so forth. Like, that's literally the complete opposite of how you would even speak to a real business owner on a sales call. In the hook, you got precisely 30 seconds to prove that your knowledge is worth their time. And so what we like to do for our hooks is start the first 2 sentences by reaffirming the title. In other words, making sure that our viewers understand that we are going to deliver the promise from the title. The lowest hanging fruit that you can do this is by literally just restating the title in the first sentence. For example, if the title of your video is something like how to get clients on YouTube, your hook can literally be something like, in this video, I'm going to show you how to get clients on YouTube. That's quite literally it. A more advanced level hook is what I call a story-based hook. Just like how I started this video by telling you the story of how I went viral on LinkedIn and got 12 qualified inbound conversations and 4 booked calls from there, each worth 8 to 15K in contract value. This type of hook is so powerful because it's basically leading with a case study disguised as a story, because it's basically hitting all the desires that the viewer wants to hear, which is qualified bookings, going viral, and converting those viewers into actual buyers, and reframing that into a story so that it doesn't feel like a sales pitch. And that's why this hook typically outperforms any other hook for our clients, because it's so relatable to the audience's desires while positioning you as an authority without sounding so salesy. Now, moving on to the next part, pain. This is where the avatar master doc comes in really handy. Basically, what you do is take the title that you already made for the video, let's use in this case, how to get clients using YouTube, and then go in the avatar master doc or any of your sales calls and pick a pain that directly relates to the topic of the video. So for example, for my target audience, a lot of them have been creating content for so long, but have not been able to crack on how to get clients from their existing content. They tried LinkedIn, they considered Twitter, and they've definitely considered YouTube. But what's really blocking them is how can they even convert all this attention or the existing effort into clients in the first place? That's the pain that we're going to use. And once you identify that kind of pain, now you can tailor the script around that pain. An example of the script for this part could be something like, if you've been creating content for months on end and you're not seeing any impressions, calls, leads, or more importantly, closed deals, it's probably not your fault. So if you look really closely on how I constructed that script, I basically used the exact language that my target audience uses. Qualified calls, impressions, sales, and more importantly, closed deals, which is the exact words that they use from my sales calls. And then I tie that pain up with a curiosity gap, which is, it's probably not your fault, which is something that a lot of my leads have been telling me all this time. They've been trying so many things, but they don't really know what exactly is stopping them from getting clients from content. They spent hours upon hours learning different materials, but there's just something missing that they feel like it's not really their fault. And so when you can speak that way on camera, so specific to your ideal client's pain, that's how you can grab their immediate attention and get them to stay in your video for way longer compared to most. Now, moving on to the body, there are really only two types of speakers when it comes to YouTube. One are what I call strong improvisers. So for people who are just really good on camera, really good at improvising on the spot, and are just natural speakers, what we like to do is just provide them a bullet point structure in the body, basically conversation starters which they can pick, get inspiration from, and riff off their head on the spot. These people thrive on being natural on camera because they've just been out there for long. They're really good, they really have a deep understanding of what they do, and they have the talent to teach people in their own natural tone. And so the last thing that we want to do is to hinder that talent by giving them a full word-for-word script. Now, for the people who are just generally new to the camera, we provide them a full word-for-word script, but written in their buyer's language first, because that's the whole point of scripting a whole YouTube in the first place. You need to speak to your ideal buyers and have a structure so that they can understand what you're saying. And then once our clients get better on camera over time, they typically adapt to the camera with their own voice as they improve. And so really, there's not really a better way or a worse way when it comes to scripting YouTube videos. It's just don't overthink it. Just use whatever's sustainable for you for as long as possible. Because believe it or not, I was horrible on camera. And even till now, I'm still relying on a bullet point script written in my buyer's language so that I can remember to not go off rails while letting my viewers understand what I'm actually conveying. Now, moving on to the CTAs, what I see a lot of people doing is just slapping CTAs at really random places without real strategy behind them, or really out of the blue CTAs that doesn't really make sense for the video. What we do instead is try to relate to a problem from the solution that we provided in the video. So if your video is talking about a specific solution to a specific problem, then you must identify the next occurring problem to that problem. For example, in the cold email space, a lot of people when they start out, the biggest issue that they face is setting up the infrastructure or the system to make things run. And if you already made a video that talked about that problem, the next problem that they're going to face is how can I write a cold email script that gets people to book calls with me? That is where your CTA needs to direct them to. And so if you have a valuable resource, either a YouTube video that's already posted or a lead magnet that you already made, surrounding the next occurring problem, and you genuinely think that the viewers can benefit from consuming extra content, then CTA them there, then direct them to that free resource. The biggest mistake that I see a lot of people make is they rush the CTA to book a call. In Alex Hormozi's words, you need to give them quick, easy value first because that's the most likely action that they're going to take. But if the problem is so specific that they genuinely need your help on a one-to-one basis, for example, the actual implementation of your systems, that's where the book to call CTA actually makes sense. I see a lot of founders don't really know how to connect these free resources that they give online. The biggest reason, and I would argue the only reason why people would ever buy from you, especially as a B2B service, is because of implementation and your specific expertise. So if you look at my previous video here, the CTA that I gave them was just redirecting them to another YouTube video of mine because I want them to benefit from my brand as much as possible, build trust with me, so when they do struggle with implementing my stuff, they already know the obvious choice to come to. Now look, I know we covered a lot here, but if you follow this framework step by step, I guarantee you that you'll be ahead of 99% of founders on YouTube and stand out from the crowd. But I'm not going to guarantee that you'll go viral and book a ton of calls off the bat of one video because there's a lot of nuances when it comes to getting there. You gotta nail the thumbnails, the titles, the keywords to rank on YouTube, and most importantly, the strategy that makes sense for your business right now. So if you want to learn how to make a content strategy that builds your pipeline and book in qualified calls with prospects worth 100K to 250K per month using YouTube, click the video here where I break down the exact process that I use for myself and my clients. That's it for this video. Like and sub. Peace.